respected President of the event, Sri P.N. Devdasji, who has been the Chief Commissioner of Income Tax, the Managing Trustee of Hindustan Prakashan Trust, Advocate P.K. Sri Kumarji, who has heartily welcomed all of us. My colleague in the organizational journey and the Chief Editor of Kesari Weekly, Dr. Madhuji, elders, colleagues, and respected citizens of the society, sisters and brothers. At the outset, I should make myself clear that I am not comfortable to speak in an alien language to the people who are in my neighboring state. Unfortunately, we have been living in this country, as it has been told in my introduction, that I hail from Karnataka and my mother tongue is Kannada. On one side Tamil and on one side Malayalam speaking people are there, but we do not know to speak those languages, but we have picked up a language of the people who are 6,000 miles away and who ruled over us, making us slaves. This is the irony of the situation. We may be occupying the third place in the economy as the president of the function has wished and also has assured. Only thing is what the income tax people will do, I don't know. And Malayalam manake manasalavu. But I am unable to express my thoughts. हिंदी में बोल सकता हूँ, हिंदी में बोल सकता हूँ इसका अर्थ ऐसे नहीं कि मैं थोड़ा थोड़ा बोल सकता हूँ, हिंदी में अच्छा ही बोल सकता हूँ। पूरे देश में मुझे प्रवास करना पड़ता है, मैं हिंदी बोलता हूँ। लेकिन केसरी मलयालम वीकली के संपादक महोदय ने मुझे कहा आप इंग्लिश में बोलो। ठीक है, and the president of the function has raised certain issues and he expected that I should speak on some of those things, but I am bound by the organizers of this program that they have given me a topic, and just now the friend here on the dais who has been announcing the programs has also announced the topic as the historical plane upon which the Sangh was instituted, or the historical background of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. The founding of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. And when I see among the audience here, there is Gopal Mallarji, Gangadhar Etanji, and Muraliji, and Venuji, and Senthilji, and many more among the audience who have been Swayamsevaks for decades. And once again, I have to speak the things which they all know, and many things which I may not speak, but they know. So this is a very typical situation. But however, I hope that there will be many new people among the audience. As we all know well, The Rashtriya Sangh was founded in Nagpur on 27 September 1925, which was the Vijayadashmi day, by revered Dr. Keshwarao Hedgewar. Today, the Sangh is well-known Hindu nationalist movement all over Bharat and elsewhere in the world. This organization, launched during the heydays of freedom struggle, has evolved into a mighty nationalist movement in the post-independence Bharat, reaching almost every corner of this vast country and encompassing almost every segment of our ancient and diverse society. Many political analysts, prominent thinkers and writers have opined that the Sangh is the most influential movement in independent Bharat that has reached the center stage of our national life today. The RSS, which is known as Sangh popularly, will be completing its 100 years of national service in 2025. Against this significant occasion of centenary, the well-known Malayalam weekly Kesari and the Hindustan Prakashan Trust have thought of a very timely event of organizing lecture series on topics related to Sangh. I heartily congratulate the Hindustan Prakashan Trust and Team Kesari for this commendable endeavor. I hope the Amritha Satham Prabhashana Parampara will eminently achieve the purpose with which it has been launched today. I am happy to be associated with the inaugural function of this very significant event. I consider it as my honor to be in the midst of you on the first day of this lecture series. I thank the organizers for inviting me to share my thoughts on the basis of my study and association as an ordinary Swayamsevak in this great nationalist movement. Friends, if one wants to properly evaluate the journey and influence of an organization, it is imperative to understand the historic background of the establishment of that organization. If you want to know the background of Ramakrishna Mission or Ramakrishna Math, you will have to study Swami Vivekananda's life. Unless and until you are well versed with Vivekananda's life, you will not be understanding why the Ramakrishna Mission was founded at all. If you want to know why Vijayanagara Empire was founded, then it demands from us that we should try to know, study the life of Swami Vidyaranya. Because this is important, how Vidyaranya had this experience and why he picked up Hakkaraya and Bukkaraya to establish Vijayanagara Empire. Likewise, If a person wants to know the historic background of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, one should know the life of its founder, Dr. Hedgewar. Unless and until we know and appreciate the life of Dr. Hedgewar right from his birth, we will not be comprehending the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh in its totality. Dr. Hedgewar was a born patriot. And he was not ready to be called a patriot. If somebody introduced him, many a time it happened, he was introduced by people that he is a great patriot. He said it is demeaning to be introduced as a patriot. A person born in this country has to be patriot. If you say that he is a patriot, you mean that others are not patriots? Then I am in the midst of non-patriots. He went one step further. Dr. Hedgewar said that it is introducing a person as a patriot of the country is like introducing him that he is a human being. A person is standing before you means that he is a human being. There is no need to introduce him as a human being. This was the thought current of Dr. Hedgewar. So he was a born patriot, an awakened activist, a keen student of social history of our country, a master of human psychology, an ace organizer, a deeply committed nationalist who sacrificed everything at the altar of motherland. He did everything for the cause of nation. He studied not for his career. He studied medicine and became a doctor. There were umpteen chances and jobs were offered to him. In those days, Burma, that is today's Myanmar, and in Nagpur itself, around Nagpur, in those days, hardly there were 75 medical practitioners in the modern medicine. So Dr. Hedgewar had a golden opportunity to become a well-established physician and earn enough money, but he didn't do it even for a day. Whatever he did in his life, that was for the glory of the nation. To pay back the debt for having been born in this great land. राष्ट्र ऋण चुकाने के लिए, इस भूमि के ऋण चुकाने के लिए डॉक्टर हेडगेवार जी ने अपने जीवन के एक एक क्षण को, अपने रक्त के एक एक कण को उन्होंने इसके लिए ही व्यय किया. So that is why he was a born patriot. When I say, or when many who have studied, who have known, who have seen Dr. Hedgewar, they say that it means the every syllable of the word is very much apt to his personality. Dr. Hedgewar's patriotic acts during his school days as a boy have been highly inspiring and instructive, apart from being the early indicators of his future life. Pujani Dattatreya was born in 1889 on the first day of April, which was the Chaitra Shukla first, the Varsha Pratipada day. The new year for most parts of our country. And this morning I have been told that today is the Sri day and Malayalis observed today as the New Year day. So, happy best wishes to you, all of you and your family members on this occasion. Dr. Ji had his schooling in Nagpur, later on in Pune and Yavatmal. He did not choose to go out of Nagpur for studying in the schools, but he was sent, he was forced to go because he was expelled from the school because of his patriotic acts. He organized Vande Mataram vegetation in the school. And I do not want to go into the detail of this story, this incident of doctor's life, because many of us may be remembering those things, and I request those of you who do not know about it, kindly go through the biography of Dr. Hedgewar. He did not want to eat the sweet that was given to him on the occasion of the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Victoria's coronation. So these were the patriotic acts, the patriotic deeds that young Keshav demonstrated in his early days. And as a result of his Vande Mataram, he led the agitation, he planned it, he executed it with his friends. And he had to go out of the school because he was expelled, because he wasn't ready to tender an oral apology which was demanded by the school management. Not even any written undertaking, just an oral apology. Dr. Hedgewar was not ready. Friends, he was expelled. No remorse. He said, it is an opportunity for me to go to some other place and do the work there. And the Rashtriya Swayamsevak and people belong to this category. I can only laugh at the people when they say that Balasaheb Devaras tendered apology during emergency. He went through quite an undertaking. Dr. Hedgewar was not ready even to give an oral apology, and we belong to this legacy. He pursued his school education, and later on he went to Kolkata to have his medical education. Dr. Hedgewar was already active in Nagpur in public life. Whatever he could do at that school age, he was already involved in those works, either as an associate or as himself as a planner, or as himself as a person who led the activities in socio-political sphere for the attainment of freedom and to organize society. His important reason was to go to Kolkata was to associate with the revolutionaries. Here I should mention one very particular incident or particular information that young Keshav, even before going to Kolkata, had already had his connection with the revolutionaries. The famous Alipur bomb case was there, where Aurobindo was involved and he was involved in the case, and there were charges against him in the Alipur bomb conspiracy. And many people were arrested by the British. And Sri Aurobindo was also in jail. And there were some people who wanted to raise some funds in order to put up the legal defense in support of the revolutionaries. And one Madhava Das Sannyasi, he came from Bengal to Nagpur and he stayed for some weeks, 4-5 weeks, Nagpur and surrounding areas. We must remember that those were the days of British and these people were associated with the revolutionary activity. That's why the underground living was a rule. Madhav Sannyasi cannot go freely around Nagpur town. His whereabouts should not be known. That was a hideouts were planned. And during this entire period, Keshav Hedgewar was with him in order to protect him from the police and also to help raise funds for the legal defense of the Alipur bomb conspiracy people who were charged against revolutionaries. This is how he was already having some connection. Or he was picked up for such activities by the leaders because he showed his capacity, his mettle to actively participate in such activity, in such movements. Keshav Hedgewar had great respect for Lokmanya Tilak. Lokmanya Tilak's persona and personality were highly inspiring for the young people of those days. And a man with great intellectual power, highly dedicated person, commanding respect in public life, made exemplary sacrifice. When Lokmanya Tilak's wife died, many people in Pune were not ready to come and give their shoulders to pick up the body of Lokmanya Tilak's wife because of the fear of the British police. And for Balgangadhar Tilak, he had to keep the body of his wife on a cart and pulled himself to the cremation ground. Here is a man who could have been wrangler in the field of mathematics, a great lawyer, who authored Gita Rahasya, a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, who almost started the Swadeshi movement in our country. And Lokmanya Tilak inspired the younger generation in those days, and Dr. Keshav Hedgewar was one of them. Nagpur in those days was the center of many socio-political activities. Many of us may be knowing that Bhoslas were ruling the Nagpur region under many riyasats. Bhoslas were also there, who were descendants of the Maratha rule, Shivaji and others. And in the Battle of Sitabardi, in 1817 November, Boslas were totally defeated and almost decimated by the British Army. Thereafter, Appasaheb Bhosle, who was at that time the chief of Bhosle kingdom, was arrested in 1818. He was being taken to Prayag, as to Allahabad. On the way, Appasaheb escaped from the police. And he came back to Vidarbha and he went to Rajasthan, he went to Jodhpur. He wanted to organize people against the British. And such an inspiring thing happened. And British were searching for him, naturally. And Appasaheb Bhosle was not nabbed by the British police, but unfortunately by the Jodhpur king. Jodhpur king arrested him. Why I am saying this? This is how our people were. Here is a person who is fighting against the British, who has given exemplary rule, administration in the Nagpur region, who escapes from the British police. And here is another Hindu king in Jodhpur who arrests him. But one good thing that Jodhpur king did was that he didn't hand over him to the British. He said, no, I will not give him. He was treated well as per the respect and honor of Appasaheb Bhosle, but he was kept in behind bars. He was given some respect and honor, but ultimately Appasaheb died in Jodhpur. All these things were told as stories through folk songs, in Harikatha-like things, in Nagpur and around Nagpur areas, in the childhood of Dr. Keshav Hedgewar. Gonds were the tribal people have been there. That is why the Nagpur region is called Gondwan. And the divide and rule policy of the British, on one side they instigated the Gonds against the rest of the society, and on the other side they said that those class lost their kingdom because of the Brahmins of the region. So that is why the society was in perpetual conflict. On one side, the tribal people Gonds, and on the other side, the Brahmins and the non-Brahmins of the Nagpur region. And when the British took over, the textile and the weaving professions in the Nagpur and Vidarbha region were totally destroyed. And we all know, during the British rule, how our cottage industries, rural industries, or indigenous trade and commerce were totally destroyed. Please read what Will Durant has written, The Case for India. Please read the book Roots of Underdevelopment by Kusumlata Kedia. Also, you can read Shashi Tharoor's book about the area of the darkness. So, the British were playing their tricks, their games, and the Western education, they thought, would make people, the English education would make people totally mentally slaves, which Macaulay had dreamt of. And to a certain extent, it happened also in Bengal and other parts of the country, maybe in Bombay province, in Madras province, Madras presidency, and Bombay presidency, etc. But also, we should remember that many people who received such an English education they did not become slaves to British. They had the new awakening and awareness about the happenings across the world. Lokmanya Tilak studied English. Gopalakrishna Gokhale studied English. The Western education was there. Dr. Paranjape, or Narendranath Dutt, who became Swami Vivekananda, or the Maharshi Aurobindo, who studied in England and Europe. So it is not that the people who studied, all of them who were the students of the Western education became mentally slaves because their cultural roots and heritages were strong enough to resist the onslaughts of the English education. Nagpur had many things in those days. Geographically, it is well situated in such a strategic place. The Nagpur people always appreciated heroic spirit. I can give one wonderful example. Anna Sahib Patwardhan, he approached Salar Jung of Hyderabad. Salar Jung had lost his region and the British were there, and he said that you can buy back the Vidarbha region by paying some money to the British. Salar Jung said, I have taken loan and I am short of funds. And Anna Sahib Patwardhan from Nagpur, he said, I am ready to give you some money. You can deposit in the bank and negotiate with the British, take the Vidarbha region back and give it to me. And this wonderful idea, Salar Jung was highly surprised how this man can give so much. And in those days, just Salar Jung asked his secretary to approach Anna Sahib whether he can really give the money. And Anna Sahib arranged 2 crore rupees. Those days, 200 years back. And those 2 crore rupees were taken. And Anna Sahib Patwardhan went to Madras, and from there he was to, after paying the rent, he was to take the Salar Jung to make him to negotiate with the British. But unfortunately, Salar Jung passed away. He died. Money is gone. Anna Sahib Patwardhan's entire life had to be spent in repaying the interest of the loan that he has taken. But he didn't lose his spirit. He did it. Such patriots have been there. Is it not necessary to remember those people in the Amrita Varsha and Amrita Kala of independent Bharat? He had to pay the interest for the debt, the loan. Are we ready to pay the debt that these people the debt of the sacrifice of such people? This is what we have to teach to our new generation. So coming back to Nagpur situation, Nagpur people were, they had kept interest in many pursuits, wrestling, sword play, malkam, gymnastics, physical adventures, spear throwing, and also Nagpur people were getting the information about various ideologies and thought currents that were going on one side on Mumbai and on the other side Kolkata and in the north in Delhi. So Nagpur being the center, people were passing through the city, and because of that, many people who were educated class of Nagpur were well informed about these things. So they knew about the Indian National Congress was established. Sarvajanik Sabha was started in Pune, and on the same line, similar lines, Nagpur people started Lok Sabha, People's Theosophical Society was started in 1889, the same year of Dr. G's birth year. Brahmo Samaj was started. People knew about Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Devendranath Tagore, Keshav Chandra Sen, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar of Bengal. Vidarbha and Nagpur people were knowing about Ramakrishna Paramahansa and Swami Vivekananda's work. In 1875, Maharishi Dayananda Saraswati founded Arya Samaj. In 1882, he came to Nagpur to start the branches of Arya Samaj in Nagpur. And he stayed for several weeks there. Social reform works were going on like in Bengal, in many parts of Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. Jyotiba Phule, Gopal Haridas Deshmukh, and many such people. Agarkar, who was a close friend of Lokmanya Tilak, they were also active in social reform activities. Satyashodak Mandal of Jyotiba Phule was founded by him to give education to women and also to establish social justice in the society. So many such things were happening in those days. Tilak's era started, Lokmanya Tilak's era started in 1899. And almost for 20 years, his public life was there. In 1899, in his well-known paper, Kesari, Tilak was the editor of Kesari, Madhuji. Kesari and Maratha, the twin papers were run by Lokmanya Tilak. And in 1899, when he wrote about Punascha Hari Om, the famous editorial, he became famous all over the country. Lokmanya Tilak was a household name, and Dr. Hedgewar himself fashioned himself as the follower of Tilak because of the ideas of Tilak. And in 1915-1916, Dr. Hedgewar, after completing his education in Kolkata National Medical College, where he had organized several agitations against the British rule, he had participated in many activities there. He became a member of Anushilan Samiti, a revolutionary organization. About his revolutionary activities, Trailokanath Chakravarti, who was his associate, his colleague in the revolutionary movement, wanted to say certain things to the public in the centenary year of Dr. G. Unfortunately, Trailokanath Chakravarti, he promised to Sangha Karyakartas of Nagpur in 1989 to Manya Dattopan Thengdiji and others that he will meet them next day in Nagpur and he will explain what Dr. Hedgewar had contributed and how he participated in the revolutionary activities when he was in Bengal and later on till his death. Trailokanath Chakravarti unfortunately died the same night. And whatever could have been told by Trailokanath Chakravarti, who was a fast friend and a colleague of Dr. Hedgewar, he missed it forever. Dr. Hedgewar did not want publicity. He was against fame and propaganda. He did not want it. And destiny also played the same thing. But however, many people who knew him during those days have recorded what he has done in that very trying and significant period of our national life. advent of Tilak era in the 89 had two things. One, terrible famine in the Bombay presidency area. The Nagpur also, to a certain extent, a victim of this famine. The Bengal famine was created by the British. It was an artificial famine. Whether Bombay presidency famine was such or not, till now, nobody has written. The second thing was epidemic of plague. Those of us who know the early life of Dr. Hedigavardi in Nagpur, he was, and his brothers were very much involved in providing succor to the patients of the plague. The epidemic was such that every day hundreds of people were dying. And Dr. Hedigavar was active in reaching out to people to help them, to save them, or to cremate the bodies. And as I already said, the assassination of Rand by the Chapekar brothers had taken place in Pune. 1857 wars, the post-war, 1857, the struggle for freedom, which failed, unfortunately, because of certain misplanning and mishandling and lack of communication at proper time, at proper level. The aftermath of 1857 defeat or debacle had its own effect on the people, those who were fighting for freedom. Vasudeva Balwant Phadke had raised his voice. Baba Saheb Nargundkar, the tribal people, the Vanavasis and the Kisan agitations were going on in different parts of the country against the British and their tricks and plays against the tanks, about many other things. Now, see the list of the people who were in different parts of the country, how they were active, either in organizing and awakening the society or to raise the voice against the British. Ram Singh Kuka Andolan in 1885, Khudiram Bose, the revolution of Bengal, hanged in 1908, Madanlal Dhingra, who was the disciple of Savarkar, who was hanged in 1909, Ananta Kanari, another revolutionary in Pune, arrested and hanged in 1910, Vancha Iyer, VVS Iyer, whose activities are well known. 1911, Awadh Bihari, Govindlal, Amir Chand, Hukum Chand, Vishnu Ganesh Pingle, Sarabai Baghi, Kartar Singh, all in 1919. So 1899 to 1919, these were the people who tried to organize armed struggle against the British, who tried to awaken the people in their own spheres. Kesari, Kal, Bhala, Deshsevak, Yugantar, many such journals in Marathi, in Hindi, in Bangla, they were being published in those days. And people were reading the revolutionary books, physical activities like bodybuilding, kusti, gymnasium, competition during the festivals about these things, so that we have to fight against a mighty empire. Then the social reform is required, physical fitness is required. For the armed struggle, weapons and ammunition are to be provided in large number, in large quantity. speeches of great patriots like Lokmanya Tilak, Bapuji Ani, Tapaswi Achyut Kolhatkar, Tapaswi Paranjape. These were going on. And Dr. Balakrishna Munje, who was in a way mentor Dr. Hedgewar for a certain period, he came to Nagpur after his participation in the Boer War. He had the exposure to the Western world. And in such a situation, Keshav Hedgewar was a young man who was active, who was thinking of the goal and objective of his life to make this country free and society to be organized. Bengal's partition had taken place in September 1905. The Swadeshi movement had started. Vanga Banga, the partition against the partition of Bengal. And Nagpur youth supported Lokmanya Tilak in Surat session of the Congress in 1907. The cultural component of this country was also emphasized during all these people. I do not want to go into the details of quotations by various writers who have authored wonderful books about the Indian national movement. Revolutionaries, others, Garamdal, Narandal, everything. From 1857 to 1947, for 90 years, the great and inspiring history of the armed struggle, the revolutionary movement of this country, will stand as a source of inspiration for all time to come, anywhere in the world. The revolutionaries of this country had the highest moral component in their activities. Unquestionable morality. The revolutionaries of this country had a great spiritual basis for their work. That is why one author has written that these people were having the pistol in one hand and the Bhagavad Gita in the other. When they went to the gallows, there was not even a single grain of remorse on their faces. They were smiling as if they are meeting their mother. They said that we believe in rebirth. We will take birth and birth and birth again and again and again in this holy land and serve the humanity. This was the spiritual and cultural foundations that these young revolutionaries had in their personality. This was there. But unfortunately, this society was not united. The activities were sporadic. People were even then considering the other person on the basis of caste and community. So that was the period when Brahma Samaj, Prarthana Samaj, Arya Samaj, many of these organizations took birth. Swami Shraddhananda of the Arya Samaj has written a book, Why Hindus Should Be Organized. Hindu Sangathan Kyon? The book is a small book published in 1924 November. RSS was founded in 1925. And Swami Shraddhananda in his introduction to the book says, and in one or two chapters also he explains, There have been efforts in Punjab, for example, Hindu Sabha has been started and later on Hindu Mahasabha. But thing is, they picked up some leaders from 25 places in the country, asked them to assemble somewhere near Delhi. And out of 25, 19 came. The committee was formulated. And the next session was to be organized somewhere in Meerut or somewhere Haridwar. Organizers were 3 people who convened the conference. 6 people attended. And out of these 3, 2 did not come. Who were the conveners? This is the way Hindu organization was taking place. This is what Swami Shraddhanandaji has written in his book. Great intentions were there. Wonderful dreams were there. But what about the act? Among the revolutionaries, there are some people who are black sheep. Either they supported the British or they were planted by the British. They lost way. Chandrasekhar Azad is sitting in the Alfred Park. The information was given to the police by Veerbhadra Tiwari. These were the chinks in our armor. So, such was the situation. And I do not want to get into the details of revolutionary acts of Dr. Ji. Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee, who has written a book In Search of Freedom, has mentioned about Dr. Hedgewar. During his stay in Kolkata, which lasted 5 years, Dr. Hedgewar emerged as a highly popular figure among the nationalist leaders and revolutionaries in Bengal. Hedgewar also functioned as a link between the revolutionaries of Bengal and central provinces. A large quantity of pistols and other small arms was dispatched from Bengal to the central provinces, of which Nagpur is the headquarters. Whenever Hedgewar used to visit Nagpur, he used to carry arms from Bengal to, during the holidays, when he was studying medical education, medicine in National Medical College, he used to visit Nagpur once in 4 months or 5 months. He used to carry arms and distribute it. So there were many such things that were going on, and Hedgewar was listed in book 1914, Political Criminals of India, January 1914. Only those individuals are included in this list by the Criminal Intelligence Office of the Government of India during those days, the British, involved in revolutionary organizations and activities, and who knew how to make bombs and other explosives. This booklet is known as Book 1914 among police and intelligence. From the central provinces, Dr. Hedgewar's name was included. This is for those people who sometimes say that the RSS and the founder of RSS were not involved in freedom struggle. People write about it. So we need not want to have their certificate, but the fact is this. Now, after the 1857 war, the country war of independence, as I said, there was a situation people felt that what is going to happen now? There were 4 streams who wanted to pick up struggle against the British. The one stream said, okay, we have failed for once. But we should try again, we shall regroup, we shall train our people, have better communication, and the armed struggle should continue. The revolutionaries was Deobanand Padike to Subhash Chandra Bose. Hindustan Republican Army, Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, Naujawan Sabha, many. The second stream of people thought that we should make people politically aware. This political awareness is lacking in our country, in our society. Hence, to create political awareness in the people, big agitation was launched throughout the country. And Congress became a people's movement, not just passing resolutions and requesting the British Queen to grant us some freedom, some liberty, but it became a people's movement. So that had its own impact on the freedom struggle. The third stream was emphasizing on the social reformation. See, we are having so much of selfishness, we are divided among our society as caste, community, etc. So that's why these differences and diversities have created a lot of mistrust and disunity among the countrymen. So that's why we have to patch up all these things and have a strong society, and that's why social reform is required. Women emancipation, illiteracy should be removed, all these things. And there was one fourth stream which was emphasizing on the cultural nationalism of this country, Swami Vivekananda and this Master Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Maharishi Dayananda Saraswati, and many such people. All these four streams had their own importance. They have definitely carved their niches in the history of India, and they are all to be remembered forever by the people of this country for their great contributions during those trying periods of our nation's history. But one single way is not going to provide succor and answer to all the problems and questions of our country. Dr. Hedgewar, he participated in the Congress movement. He was made Joint Secretary of the Vidarbha region of the Indian National Congress. Before that, he was the joint convener of the voluntary corps, Swayam Sevak Dal, to organize the conferences of the Congress. In 1920, when Nagpur Congress session was held, Dr. Paranjape was the convener of the Swayam Sevak Dal, volunteers to organize the conference. And with him, Dr. Hedgewar was there with Dr. Paranjape as the joint convener. So he saw many leaders from very close quarters. He was an exemplary organizer, as I have already told. So that's why the Nagpur session, as per the organization part was there, it was very good. And in that conference of the Congress, as the members of the Swayam Sevak Dal and also the reception committee, Dr. Hedgewar proposed 2 resolutions for discussion and adoption in the session. One was to declare total independence and work for that. And the another was to liberate all the countries from the clutches of the capitalist European forces. But these resolutions were not accepted by the committee, and hence there was no question of discussion and passing the resolution. But these resolutions themselves show what Dr. Keshav Hedgewar was thinking of. In 1920, he was 31 years of age. He had returned 5 years before that from Kolkata as a certified doctor. He had participated in various activities, all apart from revolutionary activities, and many social activities. He was part and parcel of many local organizations, Bandhav Samaj. There was a Bharat Sevak Parishad, Hindu Yuva Parishad. Many of the socially active and social reform activities, he was participating in them also. He was running a newspaper called Swatantriya. He was a Swadeshi Pracharak for the Swadeshi movement. And one Rashtriya Swayamsevak Mandal was established and he was working for that also. So Dr. Hedgewar had his experience in the field as an organizer. In 1921, because of one of his speeches, he was arrested by the police and the charges were framed. That sedition charges were there against him. Already he had one such thing in his younger age in 1908 in Rampayali in Chhattisgarh, where he had made a public speech as a young boy. But he was released. But here, he was produced before the court. And in those days, the people who are arrested by the police, they should not put up defense. They should not raise their voice against the government. They should accept the punishment that is given by the court and accept to go to the jail. So going to jail is the great patriotic activity. Dr. Hedgewar was not of this idea and thought. He said, okay, let us go to jail if necessary. If necessary, let us even die. But living for the country is important. Working for the country outside the jail is also more important. That's why I will put up my defense. And Dr. Hedgewar put up his defense. And in the first question he said, what is the authority that you as a judge is here to deliver justice to us? Under what rule the British are, under what rule of the whole world, the British are running their empire in this country? What is the logic? In my country, I speak something, but you, who represent a government which is an alien government, you are trying me here and you are going to pass the judgment to punish me. You have no locus standi. These were the way of Dr. Hedgewar's defense in the court of law. And after hearing his argument, the judge said, your defense is more seditious than your original speech. So he was sent to jail. And in 1921, August, he was sent to jail, and in July 1922, he was released for nearly 11 months or a little more. And on 19th August 1921, Gandhiji was arrested. All this was as a non-cooperation movement or civil disobedience movement was going on. And this non-cooperation movement was withdrawn by Mahatma Gandhiji after the Chauri Chora incident. And he was sent to jail for 6 years, Mahatma Gandhiji. And after nearly a year, 11 months or a little more, when Dr. Hedgewar came out, he was given a rousing reception with people, and a big meeting was arranged in one of the important Maidans, grounds of the Nagpur city. That was all fine. But after that, what Dr. Hedgewar felt was, the society is almost dead. The struggle had become too cold. No activities under Indian National Congress were going on. Mopla riots had taken place in Kerala. Thousands have been killed. Muslim riots and Muslims against Hindus, that was going on. Gandhiji had asked to come out of the schools and courts and government offices, but now schools were running normally. People were going to courts and kacheris. Offices were being held. The national schools were started against the British or the government schools. And these national schools were deserted. People had shunned them. And in such a situation, Dr. Hedgewar felt, what's happening to society? It had a very deep impact on the minds of Dr. Hedgewar because of the numbness and gravity due to helplessness of the people. On one side, Muslims were emboldened because the British had played their role, their game of divide and rule very well. So Muslim community was feeling that British are closer to them, and the Muslim League had already been active. And people had serious doubts about Gandhiji's efforts of getting freedom within a year. He had promised. So people had their own doubts about this method. And government's repressive, coercive, deceptive activities were on high. And in such a situation, Dr. Hedgewar thought, what is the way out? After before going that, they were studying the freedom movement of different countries. One such was Ireland, where Eamon de Valera and his Sinn Féin movement, they thought of running parallel or alternative government as part of War of Independence. Such a thing can be taken up in our country also. This was the thought of Dr. Hedgewar and others during those days, but they could not convince Gandhiji or the Congress leaders in this. So that was the situation. Dr. Ji was sure, and in this period, 1914 to 1918, as we all know, the First World War had taken place. And when the war was going on, the First World War, the British were enlisting the young cadets for the armies from our country. And there was a competition among the nationalist leaders of Bharat, including Nagpur, Maharashtra, Delhi, and many places, to get into the British army in big numbers, so that the British had promised that after the war we will give you independence. So that's why strengthen the British army. So this was the idea. But Dr. Hedgewar said, don't believe these British. We can get into army only to learn how to handle the arms and weapons. To know the intelligence things of inside. But helping the British in the war, believing that they are going to give us freedom after the war, is next to impossible. He didn't believe. And he was thinking, what he said, within another 20 to 30 years, there will be another war by the Europeans. This one world war has taken place. He told this to a few friends. What are the basis for his prediction and assessment? The friends have written, we don't know. Whether it was his vision out of self-introspection or due to a deep study of the Germans and other Europeans. He was keen of taking the advantage of the situation at that time to attain freedom. When the enemy is weak, hit him. So we should have a strong organized society. Within 20 years, again there will be such a situation. By then we should have an organized society to gird up its loins and take up the struggle to its ultimate level. Hindu society, without hating any other society or community, but only on the basis of its own capabilities and sacrifice, should attain freedom of the country. These are the words of Dr. Hedigavar, as recorded by his closest friend, Appaji Joshi. And for this, we should make society strong and capable. He shared this idea with his friends during 1922, 23 and 24. 14 brainstorming sessions took place in Nagpur, Wardha and other places like Akola and other places. Appaji Joshi has recorded this. In these 14 meetings, some of them were attended by Appaji Joshi also. Dr. Hedigavar was explaining how our society is disunited. Thousands of years of history of our land. It is not for the first time that the British have played such a role. We have been fighting and fighting. It is because of the certain very important reasons of the downfall of our nation. We have not been able to establish a united one nation on the strong basis of our culture and civilizational heritage, without practicing any discrimination on any basis. Unless and until we do that, we will not make this country a glorious and happy and a prosperous country. Today or tomorrow, the British will have to leave this country. They will have to say goodbye to this country. They cannot rule us forever. The society will rise, the situation will change, the geopolitical scenario will change, the British will have to fight another war, and they cannot continue on forever and forever. And for that, the freedom struggle should be strengthened, and we should do that. But after British leave this country, what is going to happen? Many agitations and efforts are there. Today we see no results. But let us not lose heart. Let us have confidence in this ancient society. He contemplated on the entire history of thousands of years of Bharat. There is no organization that binds the entire country today without any barrier, any vociferous tendency. No strong and powerful sense of nationalism, उत्कट राष्ट्र भक्ति के अभाव में देश के लोग कुछ समय के लिए उत्साहित होकर सक्रिय हो सकते हैं किसी नेता को देखकर, किसी कार्यक्रम से भाग लेने के लिए, परंतु एक सस्टेन्ड नेशनलिस्ट स्पिरिट थ्रू आउट लाइफ in every activities of one's life, unless and until that is inculcated in every human being in this country. Even when we attain the freedom, we will not be able to retain it forever. Even if we retain it, we will not make the country prosperous. This country is of Hindus. This land is the motherland of the Hindus. They have evolved a culture. This culture has made this a nation. This nation has developed a civilization. This civilization has made contributions to the world. And that world is considered to be one family by the Hindus. So we start from the nation, but we entirely embrace the whole humanity. That is the basic philosophy of Hindus. The Hindustan does not live for itself. As Maharishi Aurobindo said, India will rise. It will not rise. She won't rise for herself. She won't rise to trample others under the feet. She won't rise to make others slaves. India will rise. India will rise as a lighthouse to give guidance, to show the path for the entire humanity. And if that has to be done, this society has to be organized. Hindustan is of Hindus. Patriotic and nationalist feelings and acts have to be everyday, natural phenomenon of a country, of a nation. Culture is the basis of us. Seva and Tyaga, as Vivekananda said, the service and renunciation. These will have to be the bedrock of a society which wants to achieve great things. For that, this Hindu nationalist feeling will have to be imbibed into every human being of this country. And for that, who will do that job? He had told once to Trailokanath Chakravarti that somebody has to do this. But I think if nobody is there, then I will have to take up this as my life mission. This is what Trailokanath Chakravarti has recorded. And Dr. Keshav Balram Hedgewar, with this background of his study of thousands of years of history of this nation, his first-hand experience in public activity, his total involvement in the freedom struggle, his wide contact of people from different walks of life, his deep contemplation, his understanding on the basis of spirituality and the cultural heritage of this nation, his love, his sensitivity for everything that is of this nation, and his vision for the future, he founded the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh on the auspicious day of Vijayadashmi in 1925. This is the historic background of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. The rest of thing, what happened later on, is for other speakers through their lectures to inform and contemplate here. I thank you all for your patient hearing, and I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and pay my respects to the great personality of revered Dr. Hedgewar, who has not only started a movement in the name of RSS, who has rejuvenated the Hindu nationalist feelings, who has written the future pages of this nation's prosperity and the pinnacle of glory. Namaskar.